So here somebody is talking to you, because people with dyslexia just look like regular people like you and me, right?
Correct.
So, and here you are figuring out, how did you manage this? First, you have to listen to what they have saying,
Yes.
process that, and then answer. So
Correct.
tell me how you navigated this.
Sure. So it was difficult, right? So what I started to do, at least in the classroom setup, because classroom setup, the teacher talks for a long time,
Right.
and it takes me a while to kind of understand. So what I started doing is writing it down. So whatever comes out of the mouth, I used to like write it down. And writing, I did not find it as difficult. I mean, like, yes, the spellings were not correct, but writing as a skill, I did not find it very difficult, because it was like art for me, right? Cursive
Right.
writing, and so it was art for me. So I did not find writing difficult, so I used to write down everything. And in fact, after I grew up, like in corporate world, that also helped me out, because I could actually make like a really good MOM, and that really helped me in my initial days of the career to land projects, because there were a lot of senior people who wanted somebody to really get those good MOM. Now I actually type it out on phone. Many times people feel that she's not paying attention, she's like texting somebody, but actually I have my keep notes where I'm writing it down so that I don't forget, or I like really understand what is going on. So when I started initially, I got a consulting project with all super seniors, because I would have never been in that project if I was not good at taking notes. So that helped me to get a very good exposure early on in my life, right? Otherwise, why would you take a fresher to something which is so critical for you? So as an organization, so those kind of things also help, not just like when I'm writing something, but it also impacts when I'm saying something, because my mind is like running faster, and I kind of eat words.
Right.
So at that point in time, like what helps me now actually is to explain it with actually drawing things. So when I draw things, I say, okay, this is this, and it helps to communicate better, right? So finally, it is the speaking communication. I mean, like, you speak to kind of communicate, right? So with drawing, you can communicate better. Also, slowing down a bit, that also helped me.
So how do you use your skills or your neurodiverse brain in your
Right.
workplace?
Absolutely. So interesting. So I did not realize that, because I was doing like, I was doing what I was doing. And it's only in the hindsight when you kind of start realizing that this is how you were able to kind of do things a little differently. So one is thinking a little differently. So because the neurodiverse brain is, it's in fact wired differently, you can think in a very different way. So I'll give an example. Like for example, I was talking about 2 plus 2 is never 4 for me, because I always question why it is 2 plus 2 4. You remember when in school you had these formulas where they said that there are 6 workers to build a wall, and then they do it in 3 days, and then you have
Word
so
problems.
yeah, so when I used to see them, and then if I put myself as one of those workers, it doesn't add up, because I will take probably more time to do that. And the question is that how can you add all of this together, and how can you get this right, because it doesn't make sense. So just that perspective, that you're questioning that whatever is given is not sacrosanct, and you're questioning the underlying assumptions, because there are, when you say 2 plus 2 is 4, there are so many underlying assumptions which go behind it.
Right.
And when you kind of start realizing that, it's just a wonderful world out there, right? So you start constantly challenging that whatever is accepted generally, and that's when you find out new things, and you start to figure out new patterns. So that's really which helped me to navigate. So when I was posted in UK, and at that point in time, I used to spend a lot of time in a grocery store, and the grocery looks very different there. So I used to see one store associate who was actually throwing packets and packets of ready meals into the trash can. And coming from a family who is kind of preaching that you have to finish everything in the plate, even the curry leaves.
Yes.
So it's so criminal when you see somebody like throwing trash, throwing like all the ready meal packets into the trash can. And I asked him like, why are you doing that? And the reason that he told me actually then became the concept, and that's what has become the platform, which is now a very, very profitable business line for my company. So it actually started as an entrepreneur journey with that idea and taking it to the concept. Now, when you have to do that, right, when you have to take like a concept and then convert it into a business, there are many challenges which you face in that life. And what happens is that you need to kind of experiment, and you have to be okay to experiment. We showed the demo to almost like 100 plus clients before we, broke through the first client. And the point is that because growing up as dyslexic, I had failed so many times in figuring out what worked for me. I was okay with failure. So, right. And it is about like being resilient and coming back. Okay, this does not work. Okay, let me try something else. Oh, let me try something else. So that also, I can think in 3D, right? So a lot of the, concepts even in the AI field, right? Like you have to kind of visualize the data, and then the visualizing of the data actually is multidimensional. It is not like 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. So if you have to visualize, that spatial thinking helps. And not just that, right? Like the first problem that we actually solved was in the space area. So how can you really look at a store layout and figure out how much space needs to be given to each of the things, the categories within the store? It's a visual problem. Right. So that kind of really helped, because I could actually do it in my head. I could actually turn things in my head. So that helped. I'm not too sure, I mean, like if everybody is able to do or not able to do, because it's like something which comes naturally to me. So
no, not everybody is able to. A non-dyslexic person, it's very difficult. So I don't know if they are able to do, but this is a dyslexic strength.
Yeah.
So
and the other one was like the storytelling, right? So right. I could take a topic and I could tell a story about it, and it need not be I could tell any story. So that is also something which really helped, because I could link things which were not so very easy to link together. So you can pick 3 words and then start to weave a story around it. So
yeah, because see, these are all known as dyslexic strengths, which there is a book called Dyslexic Advantage, which is like a Bible and a mantra we go by, and it is written by doctors Eikas. So I forget their other names, but these are MD in psychiatry and neurology, and they have did a lot of research, and they have come up with different kinds of 4 kinds of strengths. It's called MIND, mind strengths. Okay, and in that book they actually sort of tell you what it is. And one of the parents who's part of the founding member of this group, his name is Vineet Vankade. He was the first person to read it and sort of converted the rest of us. And I would urge all parents to read that book, because this is exactly what Shilpa has done. She's taken her strength. So she has this narrative strength, which is storytelling. And then she's able to connect it to other areas, which is her interconnected strength. And then she's able to turn 3D idea into reality for the rest of us.